By the second decade of the 1600s, England under James I faced growing structural pressures in finance, governance, and overseas activity. The monarchy remained legally powerful, but the practical limits of royal authority became increasingly clear as disputes with Parliament intensified. The primary issue was money. The English crown did not maintain a permanent system of taxation. Ordinary revenue came from royal lands, customs duties, and feudal payments. Extraordinary revenue required parliamentary approval. However, the costs of administration, the royal household, diplomacy, and defense continued to rise. James spent heavily on court patronage, gifts, and pensions for nobles and favorites. Royal expenditure often exceeded income. As debts increased, the government sold monopolies, titles, and offices to raise funds. These practices generated short-term revenue but caused economic distortion and political criticism. In 1610, the Crown proposed the Great Contract, a plan under which Parliament would grant the king fixed annual income in exchange for surrendering certain traditional royal dues. Negotiations failed due to mistrust on both sides. This failure meant that financial conflict between Crown and Parliament remained unresolved. Parliament also challenged the king's claims of divine right monarchy, the doctrine that royal authority came directly from God and was not dependent on parliamentary consent. Members increasingly asserted their own rights over taxation and legislation. These constitutional disagreements remained contained during James's reign, but laid foundations for later crises. At the same time, England expanded its activities overseas. In 1607, the Virginia Company established Jamestown, the first permanent English settlement in North America. Early years were marked by high mortality, food shortages, and conflict with local populations. Over time, tobacco cultivation provided an economic base, linking the colony to English trade networks. Across the Atlantic world, England also increased maritime commerce and competition with Spanish and Dutch interests. Chartered companies, including the East India Company, sought trading privileges in Asia. These ventures were commercial rather than territorial, focused on profits through trade rather than immediate colonization. Closer to home, the Crown pursued tighter control in Ireland. Beginning in 1609, the plantation of Ulster transferred large areas of land from Gaelic Irish lords to settlers from England and Scotland. This policy aimed to secure political loyalty and Protestant influence. The demographic and religious consequences shaped Irish politics for centuries. Domestically, London continued to grow rapidly. Population expansion created pressure on housing, employment, and public order. The government responded with regulations on trade, apprenticeships, and poor relief. Urban administration became more structured through local magistrates and civic officials. By 1620, England had become more commercially connected, administratively organized, and globally active. However, tensions over finance, religion, and constitutional authority remained unresolved. These unresolved issues would intensify under James's successor, Charles I, eventually leading to direct confrontation between Crown and Parliament.